So whenever you teach a class, especially if you're trying to figure out how to monetize your thought leadership, and one of the ways that people do it these days is by teaching, whether in a group or on a course, recorded it anyway. You're dragging this genius out of your brain, and it is your thought leadership. But whenever you want to teach a class, you have to make sure that you are delivering on what you said you would deliver. And that is a growing process. That is something that I have learned over the last couple years as we've launched a community, as we do cohorts, give or take on like a every other month or quarterly basis, and as we're doing week by week classes. And so I thought I'd just take you kind of behind the scenes on this aspect of monetization and share with you that, the highs, the lows, the everything in between. So we have, like I said, we have kind of a broader community where the focus is thought leadership. It is the foundational stuff of thought leadership. Like, what is your message? Who is your target audience, target market? We've built it to make it really accessible. And for most people, like, especially if you're leaving corporate, starting a consultancy, or you're a founder, or you're trying to figure out what's next in your life, no one is sitting around with a big retainer amount of money that they want to throw at stuff. And so what we've tried to build is something where you can come in at a level that's really accessible to you. And then you learn the basics and you have a place you can ask questions. But like when we built the community, when we decided to put that in place, we wanted to make sure that we're really clear on what it doesn't do, just as much as what it does do. It is so hard to get a community off the ground, even with a very strong value proposition. And I think some of it is how we all are conceiving of this. Like we focus on this community model first, where I think that's still very nebulous for a lot of folks. Like what is a community? What is that? And for many of us, like we're already a part of a number of them, and like, do we really have bandwidth for more? And so and I think one of the bigger mistakes that you can do if you do launch something like a community is just go ahead and dump a bunch of stuff on people's calendars. Expect that they're going to show up from office, like if you have an office hours, kind of a general come and ask me questions. Then you've got like your deeper dives, and, part of you wants to offer a ton of value and a ton of stuff. And it's like, does your target market really have that kind of bandwidth to be able to add a bunch of stuff to their calendars right now? Just really think about that. But then also think about, how are you framing the idea and what this is? If we were launching all over again today, I would say that this is not a community per se, because we all want community, but like we need tactics, we need classwork and a place to ask questions, I think. But that's just me. So if I'm your target market, don't brand it as a community. Brand it as a place that you're going to learn a specific set of skills that is going to take you, that sounded Liam Neeson, but it'll take you a place, and it's going to solve a very distinct problem on your list. Now, if you meet people and you build community naturally, cool. But I think just do a pulse check with your target market, and for the love of all things, be talking to them regularly. So anyway, that community piece, but I know a lot of very, very successful folks from, successful meaning their career was very successful. They had a lot of big name role kind of things. And then they even have an audience, a very engaged audience. And so they try to take all of that and then they try to put it into a community model, and they find that there's not a lot of appetite for it, and they're really surprised. And I think it's just simply because of how we frame it. I don't need another powerful group of people around me in a way that we're trying to, like, a lot of the value prop that we're trying to offer is, hey, my community, like, you're going to have a group of people around you. They're going to be very supportive. Unless they are like gatekeeper type of people, I don't need any more people around me. I have a really hard time maintaining relationships and friendships with the people that I do have because my schedule is insane. And so what do people need? Well, I need a really definitive, specific solve for a set of problems that actually could work. So going back to like, what can you do with a community if you do choose to launch one? Well, it depends. If you do what I would highly recommend if I were launching one from now, I would totally do it with someone else without any hesitation, even knowing the risks of how difficult partnerships can be. There are not a lot of people you should jump into a partnership with, but if you've got massive rapport with someone and you can decide ahead of time who's going to do what, who's going to own what thing, is this person going to show up consistently, confidently to the table with help with a set of skills maybe you don't have, also audience, so you can share the burden and share the work, and then you've got a stronger value proposition maybe together. And you can, like with my co-founder Melissa and I, we have a great dynamic. She can get things done. I can teach like till the cows come home and have a lot on the skill set side that I can bring. She has a lot on the marketing side that she can bring, and her engagement with people is tremendous. So like we feel, and she can also teach and I can also engage, and that, so like that dynamic is very, very helpful too. So in case you do need to step away, like when life gets really busy, who's going to shoulder the burden for you? Because otherwise it's a very big cognitive burden. It is going to sit on your shoulders. So you can hear my hesitation with even recommending that people start a community at this point. It is so much work if you're going to do it right. I think it should lead somewhere for people, like, but if it doesn't, is it going to be a sustainable business model just as it is right now? Like, can you do the community that you have in mind if you don't sell anybody anything else and be okay with that? Or are you just setting yourself up to have to upsell and to drive more to happen? Like ours has been a good experience where it's been a natural kind of slow progression, but so much has organically happened. Like people bring me in through the community and into other projects outside the community. I've hired people that I've met through our community. So that ecosystem factor is definitely there. And that's been a big, important part of it. What else would I do if I were starting from the beginning? I would not put so much on the calendar. As I alluded to earlier, it is a lot to say, hey, can you show up 4 times a month to something? That's only once a week. That's actually slightly less than once a week if there's like 5 weeks, right? That already right there can be a big lift. And so maybe you don't get them for anything at that point because they're like, I don't know. I don't even know which thing to show up for. So just be really dialed in. But also, you can't just roll a community out from nothing. So something I'm working on getting better at is telling my audience long before anything starts what's going to happen. And this is a good personal marketing, what B2B marketing needs to do also. We can't just expect from day one, in all the noise and all the busy, that people are going to care. They need time to understand a message, to get excited with you about something. And if you identify some people around you that you know are going to be like your quote unquote ride or die, like they will be there with you. Maybe they're not directly invested. Maybe they just are going to be there with some moral support, but that is important. Don't try to do it alone. Even if you don't bring in a partner with like those extra skills maybe that you don't bring to the table, at least have a group of people that you've approached that you can say to them, would you please do this with me? Here's what I would love for you to be a part of. I would love to maybe make you kind of a leader within it and give you some extra visibility from it, or just please help me. I want to launch this stream and I know I can't do it alone. So, and have an email list long before you launch something big. So social media is a great place and a great way to tell people about stuff that you're doing. But most of the time, people don't convert from social media. They just don't. Like, they're not going to click a button and drop $100 or $800 or whatever, that it's just not kind of our nature. But if you send me an email with details that I can get directly to the palm of my hand and I can open up that email and read and think and consider your offer, I am far more likely to take action on it, especially if I feel like it is for me. If I'm unclear if that offer is for me, if that thing that you're doing, that program, whatever it is for me, I'm not going to go through with it. We only want stuff that's going to solve a very distinct problem with important for me type of stuff. So know exactly who it's for and exactly what problems it's going to solve. And don't count on people having to figure that out. Really get into the heart and soul of what it's going to do and who it's going to be for. I was talking this morning through voice note right before this podcast to my co-founder Melissa, and talking about a few other opportunities and a few other folks that are doing a community model and how, like, where we are even differentiated to them. There's thought leadership at the beginning, at the focus part of it that really only you can do. And then there's like PR, for example, and different level, next level stuff, writing the book and things of that. That's not us. That is definitely not us. So then we need to make sure that we're really focused on and talking about the things that are us so that people can think about it all and consider it all together. What else would I do if I were at the very beginning of this journey? I would see it as a long game. A long game. It's essentially a part-time job. I consider our community as one of our clients, and I have to allocate time, energy, effort, and there are folks who will definitely tell you that it will run itself one day. Sure. I'm sure that that is a possibility, and I'm sure that that is what is happening for people. But it is your job to make sure that those conditions are facilitated to get there, and then even then, like, I don't believe that at all, personally. Now, I'm not the type, though, that would run it that way, so I can certainly say that there's room for all the different ways that it can be done, but just so be really intention and then also be ready to pivot. I had a lot of ideas going into this, and a lot of those ideas have shifted significantly as we've gone, and there's no playbook. So be very willing to adapt and learn from other people's mistakes, and study the ones that are out there right now to just understand the model. Join a few, make sure that you've joined a few, and just know too, if you're not the type to engage in a community setting, you're not going to probably find a lot of success in this, because you're not going to want to be there all the time, and you're not going to want to be listening to those kind of conversations that are there and engaging in it. It's like I would say with any form of thought leadership. If you have a podcast, but you don't like listening to podcasts, you're going to have a lot of difficulty making a successful podcast. Same with a community. I heard someone recently refer to their community, instead of a community, it was a network. That was really appealing to me. I would rather join a strong network, I think. That was the last thing, is just how are you going to explain to people in such a way that it's not just like everybody else is out there. If I was starting now, I would really try to consider what model would actually draw people in, and how do I go left when other people are going right, so I can actually stand out and not just be like everybody else. There's a community that I was recently a part of that closed. He said intentionally, like, I am going to just try this for a year. I'm going to see how it goes. And, but plan on it being around for a year. And it was, and then it closed. And there are people who can do that with real intentionality, but for the most part, they close when something has changed. And when it's time for you to close yours, or sell it, and or just move it into someone else's purview or whatnot, just be willing to accept that things change. Things do shift, and that is perfectly okay. I think that's it. So if you have any questions on community, I'm always open to sharing experiences and talking. I think it's a tough go, and I would have really benefited from someone to talk to along this journey. I will tell you that it is a passion and it is a mission, and if it weren't those things, I would not at all have gone that direction and started it, because I've certainly poured in probably way more than, like, financially we get out of it. but I would do it for free anyway. It is that much of a mission and a passion and so much joy and so much connection. And so it hasn't been like about the revenue. If I break even, I'm happy. If I break even, I'm happy. So figure out the model you want. If the model you want is really going to be a profit-driven model, revenue first kind of model, awesome. Just make sure that you're building something you can get to there and anticipate it's going to take twice as long and twice as much effort at the get-go. So you're not confused, surprised, all that thing. So don't hear this as a reason to say no. Just these are all the things that I wish I would have thought of up front too, or just had awareness of. I would have done it anyway. I absolutely would have done it anyway, even if I knew it was going to cost money out of my pocket, just because, again, I believe in it so much. But it is a startup. It is a startup. It will require someone thinking about all of those jobs, every one of them. It needs a CMO, it needs a CEO, it needs a COO. It needs every job card because it is a startup. And yes, I perceive it as one of my clients, just more for to gauge how many hours that I actually have in bandwidth. And that's how I bucket my week in essence. But it will take a lot out of you, but hopefully you can build something that will give a lot back to you at the same time. And hearing the stories, oh my gosh, there's nothing in the world cooler than hearing the stories of success and what the community means to people. So it's joy. It is all joy. Thank you for listening to this episode of How to Thought Leadership, where we try to pull back the curtain for you, tell you the tactics, tell you the answers to the questions that you have around monetizing your expertise, what models, what manner you want to go about it, what your message means to people. If you have any questions, reach out on LinkedIn. I will see you next time.